Stop everything you're doing because the behind the scenes in Washington are on fire. And what leaked in the last few hours is going to blow the mind of any Commanders fan. A monumental movement is being secretly planned that could change the course of the franchise for 2026. First, a safety that nobody expected anything from, who wasn't even drafted, is simply tearing it up in training camp. The kid is playing such ridiculous football that the coaching staff already considers him our biggest hidden gem of the year. But hold that excitement, because the story only gets better. While this pot is boiling on defense, a young receiver from our offense is working silently and has reignited everyone's hope. He's flying on routes, showing that this could finally be the year of his big career turnaround to take the spotlight. And to top it all off, here comes the bombshell that will stop the NFL. Insider information confirms that the theory of one of the league's greatest receivers returning to our team is gaining absurd momentum at the perfect moment. Our general manager is one step away from making an immediate impact decision that will change the level of the Commanders. But first, leave your like on this video. It's just a click, and it helps me a lot to continue bringing the truth about the Commanders to you. Stefon Diggs is patiently waiting for a new opportunity while the Washington Commanders are closely monitoring his situation. Media appeals for this dream of returning home to become reality are getting louder. First, a specialized media analyst hinted that the performance of Terry McLaurin's backup receivers has not been satisfactory in this early training camp. Now, another reporter agrees, believing that a veteran of high caliber and the rookie selected in the third round of the draft can coexist effectively in the new coordinator's offensive schemes. Well, there's a lot of smoke circulating, but will there be real fire? According to reports, there's a possibility that both receivers could coexist in this offense and contribute significantly to it. This raises important questions about whether the general manager is really considering that possibility. Peters is always carefully assessing the situation. If the training camp reports are not satisfactory regarding the receiver group, he will likely share the same opinion as the analysts. Whether this will provoke a real bid for Diggs is the big question to which no one has a definitive answer at this moment. Tracking a player is one thing. Making an offer, especially considering the value required to sign someone of his caliber, is something completely different. The player's preference, a four-time Pro Bowl selection, is Washington. Diggs has made this clear on several occasions during the preseason. The former Maryland player is confident that he still has plenty of football left to play. He surpassed the 1,000 receiving yards mark with his last team in the previous season, demonstrating that he is still at the peak of his abilities. If the Commanders are not completely convinced they need him, they cannot sit idly by waiting. There's too much at stake for that, and heads could roll if the desired improvements do not come. This is also a crucial year for quarterback Jayden Daniels, so the more reliable options the dynamic player has at his disposal, the better it will be for the entire team. For now, it would be Diggs or nothing in terms of available veteran receivers. Obviously, there are trade opportunities or players who might interest the general manager, but it seems the time has come to act decisively. The sooner Diggs arrives, the more time he will have to assimilate the tactical scheme and develop chemistry with Daniels. The general manager is eager to give young talents on the roster a chance, but reports suggest they are not meeting the established expectations. The arguments get stronger with each passing day, and the longer Washington waits, the more it could cost in terms of lost opportunity. Diggs may also have alternatives emerging. This only increases the urgency if Peters is seriously considering this possibility. And a trade that seemed lost at the beginning of the preseason is now beginning to gain real traction. Let's see if it results in something concrete in the coming days. The Washington Commanders have discovered some undrafted gems during general manager Adam Peters' tenure thus far. While it's still early to draw definitive conclusions, it seems that a safety may be yet another one of them. This player was one of the Commanders' main targets when the NFL draft concluded. Washington offered him a significant amount in guarantees in his rookie contract to secure his services. Based on reports that emerged in the early stages of training camp, it's not hard to understand why this gamble was made. Despite starting from scratch in a new environment, he is already grabbing everyone's attention. He has the physical stature, wingspan, and anticipation that could be useful in the new defensive coordinator's tactical schemes. Making the main roster is still a tough task, but the safety has only improved his chances so far. The second day of training camp was particularly excellent for this player. He was everywhere on defense, especially during the red zone portion of practice. Getting 2 interceptions is the best possible way to get noticed by coaches and analysts. Coach Dan Quinn has always preached the importance of ball possession, both in maintaining it and recovering it. The new defensive coordinator wants his defense to be aggressive and opportunistic, which would be a refreshing change for the unit. This safety is proving to be up to these demands from day one. Of course, there is always a lot of expectation at this time of year. He had a good start, but nothing beyond that has been proven in real games. More significant tests will come when padded practices begin, and the Commanders will likely have a good idea of what he can do in the preseason before issuing an official evaluation. Still, he made an impact right from the start, and that was the main goal from the beginning. There was a lot of expectation around him as a potential early round pick before the 2024 season. Changes in his university's coaching staff hindered his development, but he remained loyal to the institution when most would have gambled in the transfer portal. It did not go well. He regressed in 2024 and was sidelined due to injury afterward. Because of this, he completely disappeared from the radar of most teams. But the Commanders saw something in the player that could be shaped into something bigger and more important. So far, so good on that front. He has limitations that cannot be ignored. He is not the most physically imposing safety to have ever worn the Washington colors. His agility can sometimes be his downfall, and keeping up with wide receivers can also be tricky in certain situations. However, he is a hard worker and a dedicated learner. This means there is a good chance of improvements arising from working with the new defensive coordinator, who has an exceptional track record in developing defensive players. To be realistic, remaining on the practice roster would already be a significant accomplishment for him. But don't be fooled. He has put himself in a position that allows him to go far beyond that. Luke McCaffrey is reigniting hope for the Commanders, a hope that refuses to fade despite previous disappointments. Much has been said about the situation of the wide receivers for the Washington Commanders this summer. Aside from two-time Pro Bowler Terry McLaurin, the outlook doesn't seem good, which means there is still an opportunity for someone to stand out and earn a spot. Maybe this is finally the year for Luke McCaffrey, a third-round pick in the 2024 draft. That's what a former tight end for the team said this week on a podcast, as the third-year player seems to be having a good start in training camp. According to him, McCaffrey has developed his skills, improved his game as a receiver, has capability as a kick returner, and has been doing a good job blocking. He will find a way to make the roster because he does the little things right and is one of the surprise candidates to have a surprisingly good year. A veteran receiver was supposed to be the solution to Washington's receiving woes, but he decided to completely burn any bridge that might have led him to the club. Another receiver is returning to his old team, so he is no longer a viable option. And despite the constant media campaigns, a big-name receiver remains unsigned, even with the Commanders reportedly monitoring the situation. This leaves Washington with 4 young receivers competing for a chance to be the second option. They are all in a tight race for the attention of the quarterback and the coaching staff. But in McCaffrey's case, it's a story that fans have heard many times over the last 2 summers. But this time, there may actually be some substance involved. McCaffrey caught a touchdown pass from the quarterback on the second day of training camp and overall made a strong impression this summer. On the other hand, he has done that over the past 2 years, but failed to translate that performance into anything beyond an empty expectation generated by training camp. Aside from some good plays last fall before suffering an injury, he has not been very decisive in the games that really matter. That needs to change if McCaffrey wants to move off the bench and take on a significant role under the new offensive coordinator. Still, local media has been asking for patience regarding McCaffrey. He is still learning the wide receiver position after having played quarterback in college. His brother is a potential future member of the Professional Football Hall of Fame, so there certainly must be something there that can be developed. Maybe there really is something special about him. Perhaps we will finally see that this year. But the fact that Washington's receiver group is so depleted that we are having this conversation again is extremely telling, and not in a positive way for the team. As a fan, I am hopeful, but also skeptical about the promises we hear every summer. McCaffrey needs to finally deliver concrete results on the field, not just in practice. So, fan, after finding out how Stefon Diggs' return defense is strengthening at the perfect moment, understanding how an undrafted safety is having an exceptional start, and knowing that Luke McCaffrey is reigniting hope for the Commanders, which of these situations makes you feel more hopeful or concerned? Do you believe that the general manager will finally hire Diggs to solve the receiver problem? Or will the team continue to bet on young talents who have not yet proven their worth? And more importantly, do you trust that Luke McCaffrey will finally be able to translate his performance in training camp into real results during the regular season? Or are we doomed to hear the same story of empty hope next summer? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.